If you're looking for a quicker and more convenient way of using your GO 3 without the action pod, whether that comes to charging the camera module alone or accessing and offloading footage to an external source quickly and easily, then this accessory is exactly what you need: the Insta360 GO Quick Reader. The Insta360 Quick Reader concept is nothing new. We've seen it done before with other camera modules in the Insta360 range, providing the ability to save captured footage directly to an external micro SD card and then using that to transfer to the app rather than rely on a slower wireless connection. Up until now, this hasn't been possible with the GO 3 and the 3S, considering there are no ports on the camera module itself, just the connection points on the rear instead, and so the result is this: the Insta360 GO Quick Reader, and this one multifunctional unit can actually be used to accomplish a few different tasks. With a plastic construction, on the face of it, it actually looks rather simple. In essence, it's a cradle with the pins arranged in a circular orientation so that they marry up with the pins on the rear of the camera module itself. Of course, we throw in that added bit of magnetism too, ensuring the camera module stays in place throughout use. On the bottom of the Quick Reader then, we have this sliding panel where we can slide one way for use with USB-C devices and the opposite for Lightning-based devices. Once in the desired position, keep the button on the side pressed in order to keep the connection slider locked in place while you insert it into the host. A neat little added touch. Finally, on the USB-C end, we find a micro SD card slot where we can insert a memory card, up to 1 TB in capacity being supported, which will be used for data transfer. More on that shortly. In essence, it's a rather simple looking device, but adds some valuable functionality to the GO 3 and 3S camera in 3 specific areas: charging, data transfer, and data access. We'll start with the first of 3 then: charging. Ordinarily done by placing the camera module within the action pod, where it starts charging automatically using power from the pod itself. For times where you may not either have the pod handy or just wish to quickly top up the camera module alone, the Quick Reader comes in very handy. Extend the USB-C end of the Quick Reader and insert directly into an outlet, computer, or even an external power bank, and it's pretty much ready to charge. Simply place the GO 3 or 3S camera module onto the Quick Reader with the camera powered off, and in any of the mentioned scenarios, and the light will illuminate indicating the module is being charged. It really is as simple as that. Charging takes around the same time as it would in the action pod, although personally I do find using the action pod is easier, to be fair, as there's no reliance on an external power source. But should your action pod be out of juice, then it's good to know the camera can still be topped up quick and easy using the Quick Reader instead. Also note that you are unable to use the camera in any way while it's charging. That's only possible when placed in the action pod. Where this Quick Reader really does shine though is with its data transfer capabilities. I'd recommend a memory card that exceeds your camera's own internal capacity, so you know you can transfer and free up a full camera module worth. Note the memory card does need to use the exFAT file format, so make sure that's prepared beforehand as it can't be formatted on the Quick Reader itself. Anyways, with a card in place, we connect the reader to a power source, power up the camera module by keeping the button pressed for 3 seconds, after which we drop it onto the Quick Reader. And another quick press of the button, and we begin transferring all data from the camera to the memory card, with the light flashing to indicate data is being transferred. This will stop and the camera will beep once the data transfer is complete. It's important to note that this is not a backup of the camera. Files are not being copied across, they are being moved across. So once your clips are on the memory card, they are removed from the camera module itself so that it can be used to shoot more footage without the need to manually reformat. Also note, there's no way to select and choose which files to move across. It's an all or nothing process. While this is simple enough, I actually find it easier to use the action pod rather than an external power source. By connecting the Quick Reader to the USB-C port on the action pod, and then dropping on the camera module, which does need to be powered on for data transfer, we receive some visual feedback highlighting the used and free capacity of both camera and memory card. You can't actually do much more than to start the data transfer at this stage, so you can't format the camera or the card for instance, but with data transfer active we will receive a visual representation of the actual transfer, so you know how far along the process you are at any given point, which I do find quite handy. Either way though, the transfer process is rather slow, USB 2 speeds in fact. For instance, if I were to transfer the full 128GB of data from my camera module across to the memory card, I'm looking at around an hour transfer time. Although saying that, if you do get impatient, you can stop the transfer at any time by pressing the camera button and then removing the camera. Even so, it's still a very useful feature for offloading your footage from the camera while out filming, freeing up your camera's internal memory for you to continue with your day. Moving on, that leads us nicely onto the final use case for this quick reader, accessing the data. When using the smartphone app, typically one would connect the Go to the smartphone wirelessly, although thanks to the two connection options, we are now able to connect directly to the smartphone via its bottom port. Nevertheless, once connected, you'll find that by launching the Insta360 app, you now have access to all files transferred to the memory card and can edit as normal. In fact, switch on and place the Go 3 or 3S on the quick reader and you'll be able to access all files on the camera as well as the memory card via the handy tabs across the top, meaning you can work with files from both locations in the one interface, albeit with a slightly faster data transfer speed. That quicker access, coupled with no wireless connection, means less battery drain on the camera module itself, which is always a plus. Note though, just like with charging, in this configuration you are not able to control or use the camera at all. This can only be done while connected wirelessly. Accessing files via a computer works in a similar way, although in this instance, with the camera connected, the camera's internal battery is being charged at the same time. In this configuration, the unit works like an external USB thumb drive, again allowing access to both the memory card in the quick reader as well as the camera itself. Nice and easy. So, all in all, while this is certainly a useful accessory, it doesn't come without its drawbacks, such as not being able to use the camera while using the quick reader, but most importantly for me, it's the speed of the data transfer. In this day and age when we're working with large 4K video files, from the 3S for instance, the faster the data transfer the better, while in actuality it seems to be taking a while due to its slow USB 2 speeds. On the flip side though, data transfer to the memory card could be a real lifesaver while out on the field, as you can dump all the files across and free up the camera for more shooting, as well as providing the ability to top up the camera if your action pod isn't close by, even though I do personally find charging via the action pod more convenient. Also convenient is the data access via the app or computer, if you tend to edit on the fly via the Insta360 app, or prefer using the super small camera module alone much of the time, you'll find this accessory super useful.